much as I love Crunker, I have to admit, the game is glitchy. Like, pathetically, laughably glitchy. Crunker is probably the one game where the control and movement scheme is tied to frame rate, which means unlimited FPS in high-end computers offers a huge advantage over capped FPS plebs like me. Then there's the glitch where while you're crouching under low ceilings, you can stand up and glitch to the ceiling. This game doesn't have proper ceiling detection on the character, something that even I can do in Unity with my very limited knowledge of programming, with the help of frackies. And you think that these glaring, embarrassing bugs would be fixed by now, right? Well, obviously they aren't. I mean, why would I bring them up if they were? Besides, there's a very good reason why many of these bugs haven't been fixed, and it has to do with many older Crunker games turning these glitches into features. All of the glitches I have mentioned above have been exploited in some way by many different games, some of them being very, very popular. And if the devs were to fix them now, months and even years after the fact, those games would be broken. Now, I'm personally kind of mixed on the whole turning bugs into features thing, as one, relying on glitches to make your game can be risky, as they can be patched out at any time, rendering your game unbeatable. And two, when game makers take wide advantage of glitches like this, it puts the developers in a position where they can't really fix their own game without alienating a major portion of its community. However, in spite of the risks, utilizing glitches and exploits in this manner can be very liberating, and I'd even argue that it encourages out-of-the-box thinking, so to speak. An example of a game, or a series of games really, that takes huge advantage of these Crunker glitches are the escape room games. No, not those shit escape games with zombies and towers. I'm talking about old school escape room games from like 2018 or early 2019 from a game maker named Enrin. And let me tell you, these games are some of the most intriguing, innovative, and brain-teasing games I've ever played in Crunker. And there are a shit ton of them too. So many, in fact, that in order to cover all of them, from the original Hexology to the spin-offs and the remakes and the reboots and the escape games from other people, I have to make this video in multiple parts. And as such, this first video will cover Escape Room 1, 2, and 3. And by Escape Room 1, I mean Escape Room OG, not the remake that is currently Escape Room. Right off the bat, you spawn into this white walled room with a sofa and a flat screen TV on a stand and a long-ticketed window in the back along with a ceiling light. This is the room. The iconic room that is featured throughout the escape room Hexology. It's deceptively simple, yet comes in many different shapes and orientations, with each one having its own unique escape method. And this particular room you spawn in is the most important of them all, as it introduces you to the concept of observing the ambient shading to find hidden doors. Notice how there's a gap in the shading here? That signifies a hidden door, which is what you use to escape the spawn room. From there, you must traverse a series of small rooms and sections and find ways to escape them. At some point, you have to crouch into tight spaces and stand up and face through ceilings, which that's only possible in Crunker. And at other points, there are invisible paths for you to take that you can reveal by shooting at them. Because of course I got this far and now I have to rehost with a fucking gun class because old games and their bullshit. Fortunately, the game isn't too hard or easy besides that. The difficulty progresses very well, with the early levels subtly preparing you to take on the mind-warping late stages. You also get some sparse glimpses at future areas as a sort of foreshadowing, which adds a compelling air of mystery to the game. Speaking of mysteries, there are several oddities in this game, like this ominous and kinda creepy face outside of the map, which is only visible when you spectate. There's also a few references to Marvel movies such as the Infinity Glove. Yeah, 2018 everyone. It is definitely an old Crunker game, or a map in this case. And being an old Crunker game, yeah, it's very clearly rough around the edges, as is the case with many 2018 Crunker games, like Heavenbound and Kairokyu. But nonetheless, it's a brain-teasing, innovative, and brilliantly mysterious game that is a perfect introduction to all the escape rooms to come. Oh, and I almost forgot, there's a fucking dick in the Infinity Glove room. We're so mature, aren't we? Moving on to Escape Room 2, you spawn in the room, only this time you're upside down. The sofa and TV are overhead and the ceiling light is in front of you. There's an invisible ramp on the light that requires you to slowly approach it from the side to phase through the floor and continue. Yeah, that's another thing with Crunker, ramps are completely broken. From here, the game progresses in a similar fashion to the first one, and although it isn't nearly as polished as the original, it's very much an escape room game. It relies on exploits, invisible platforms you have to shoot at, and it throws some glimpses of future sections in the mix. It also has another reference to pop culture in it, this time being Bikini SpongeBob, and I don't want to think about that, thank you very much. One annoying and unintentional glitch I found is in this dirt tunnel, where there's a wall that by all means should be collidable. Alright, it has the ambient shading of a collidable wall, so you would expect it to be a collidable wall. But not only is it not collidable, it is one way. That means you get locked out of the map and have to die and start all over. And this is a good ways in too. Pretty sure this is a newer bug because I don't remember it happening last time I played it, but still, it's just awesome. I love having my time wasted. God damn. After that dirt section, you climb out of what seems to be a straw, then you reach this relatively huge open space. And at this point the game changes from a linear escape room to a more open sort of point hut. Literally, you're given a list of objects to hunt for, with one of the items obscured by a Coca-Cola spill. And to be honest, even if this section alone is alright, it just sort of doesn't fit with the rest of the map. Much of the map before involved actually escaping from rooms and solving puzzles to break the boundaries. That is what escape room is. Whatever hell I'm doing now is not escape room. I'm not escaping anything, all I'm doing is running around finding things. Not exactly good endgame material if you ask me. Not to mention that the escaping part of Escape Room 2 kind of holds your hand a bit. Aside from the ramp glitch at the very beginning, most of the challenges are easy to figure out, if not outright spoiled for you. As a result, I found Escape Room 2 to be a bit underwhelming. A sort of black sheep in the series if you may. It's still a nostalgia trip and all, but yeah, 6 of 10, not enough escaping, I guess. As for Escape Room 3, well, it's easily much larger than the first two in terms of size and total points, and you aren't really escaping rooms as much as you're escaping pirate ships, cargo shipping units, trucks, an office, and eventually a giant whale. Along the way you run into things like Captain America's shield and Iron Man's helmet, obligatory Bravo references, the name of another game maker, a rather gruesome crime scene, and even a demonic ritual? What the hell? Yeah, the creativity of this game really shines through with these details. Escape 1 and 2 may have been innovated, but they lacked context or theming. But here, not only does the game have the same escape puzzles and mysterious atmosphere as the previous two, but everything just seems to make sense in the end. Like, you're actually escaping out of something instead of just escaping. The challenges are also much more difficult to figure out, mostly due to there being many more areas where there could be solutions. In fact, I'd argue that some of the solutions are a little too abstract, but overall, the game refrains from holding your hand as much as Escape Room 2 did, which makes everything much more rewarding than before. Take the sitting on top of the whale. The end goal is to reach here, which is cool, but how do you get here? Well, it seems at first glance that you basically have to figure this out yourself with seemingly nothing other than your own judgment guiding you along the way. But in reality, there's a specific path that is very loosely defined where the subtle changes in building heights establish a pattern for you to follow. It makes you think that you're figuring it out on your own when in reality, the game is stringing you along all this time. It's this balance between abstract and concrete that can be very difficult for game makers to execute, but when they pull it off, it makes their games not just rewarding, but worth the reward. And the city is a perfect example of this sort of peak game design. Between this and the creative themes, overall heft, and the simple fact that you're escaping more than just a room, it's safe to say that I personally found Escape Room 3 to be my favorite escape room so far. Keyword or phrase is so far, because I still have 3 more escape rooms to cover. And unfortunately, this video is already way too long, so if you want to see me talk about Escape Room 4, 5, and 6, like this video and subscribe to my channel for part 2, blah 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 blah